of 7th and Jackson,
Yes.
and you saw Walter Watkins standing out across the street from the liquor store?
Yes.
And he appeared to be disheveled.
Yeah, he looked really bad.
He was stumbling and staggering.
He stumbled, he staggered, he tripped on the curb.
These are signs apparent to you that he was drunk at the time?
He sure did look that way.
And from your experience with the Needa Liquor Commission, have you had a lot of training in determining whether or not people are drunk, haven't you?
Well, I've had a lot of training, but the training's not from my experience. I've had experiences and I've had training.
And you were also a police officer, Needa, before you were working for the Liquor Commission.
Yes, I was.
And you had a lot of experience in determining whether or not people were drunk then as well.
5 years.
On the night of June 5th, did you determine that Walter Watkins was drunk based on those factors, the stumbling, the staggering?
That was part of it, but that's really not the reason. The reason was because his breath was bad, his eyes were bloodshot, he slurred when he talked.
So the stumbling and staggering had nothing to do with whether or not he was
No,
drunk?
the stumbling and staggering had everything to do with me noticing
So
it.
they did play a role?
No,
They played no factor?
not in determining that he was drunk in order to issue the citation, no. Because you can't just issue a citation. That's not the proper procedure. What you have to do is you have to go ahead and smell the breath and look at their eyes and listen to
So
them
when
talking. You
when
administer
Mr. Watkins
tests.
went to the liquor store, you thought he was sober?
I didn't know whether or not he was sober or drunk. That's why I was watching, because it's my job out there to make sure that the law isn't violated in that way, because it's not fair.
When Mr. Watkins went into the liquor store, were you able to see him in the liquor store?
Oh, yeah.
And the window obstructed your view with the advertisements in it?
Partially.
Partially.
That's correct, yeah, partially.
You were only able to see Mr. Watkins and the clerk from the chest up?
That's about right.
So you were unable to see any money changing hands?
No, I didn't see him.
And you didn't see a bottle changing hands?
No.
You didn't see a bag changing hands? No. In fact, when Mr. Watkins was in the liquor store, wasn't Mr. Jones not able to be seen from your sight at all for a portion of the time?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
While Mr. Watkins was in the liquor store, Mr. Jones disappeared from your sight for a while, did he not?
Yeah, Mr. Jones went back into the storage room where they keep all the booze.
So Mr. Jones and Mr. Watkins only had a very short time of exchange while in the store.
I didn't time it, so short is kind of a relative term. I'm not so short or long.
You
It was
happened-
long enough to make a sale. That's probably how long it was.
But you didn't actually see a sale, you just saw them from the chest up.
No. Let's stop there, okay?
What do you study at Needa University?
Major in English literature.
Do you do anything else?
Yes, I'm also involved in the equestrian club and the choir.
And besides being a student, do you do anything else?
I work part-time at the post office.
How old are you?
I'm 21 years old.
And are you married?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I want to call your attention now to the morning of December 13th. What were you doing that day, that morning?
That morning, I did not go to work because I had the day off. I woke up at about 8:30, then I read for a while, and then I was a bit tired, so I went back to sleep later that morning.
And when did you finally wake up?
I think I woke up around 12:30.
And how did you wake up that particular morning?
At 12:30, there was a strange man in my room.
Could you describe this strange man?
Yes, he was tall, about 6 feet. He had dark hair, I guess kind of longish, I guess a semi-dark complexion. He was pretty heavy build, and he had a mustache.
Do you see that man in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you please indicate him to the jury?
That's the man that was in my room.
Let the record show that Miss Miller has indicated the defendant, Mr. Stone.
Any objection, counsel? It may so reflect, counsel.
After you noticed Mr. Stone in the doorway, what happened next?
I screamed because I wasn't expecting to see anyone in my room. He came at me. He threatened, he had a knife in his hand. He threatened to kill me if I screamed again. I tried to get up and get out of bed, but my feet got tangled in my quilt, and he came onto the bed and he forced my head down into the pillow, and he was choking me and holding the knife up against my neck.
Now, you said you had been reading in the room earlier. Was the lighting the same in the room then when you first saw Mr. Stone?
Yes, I had the drapes in the windows and also light coming in from the hallway, so I could see fairly well.
And how long did you have an opportunity to see Mr. Stone?
When he first appeared in the doorway, I probably had about 5 to 10 seconds to see him, and then I saw him as he was coming at me until he stuck my face down into the pillow.
What did he do after he stuck your face down into the pillow?
Then he proceeded to unbuckle his belt, made me look at his body, and then he raped me.
What did he do next?
After he raped me, he laid on top of me for a couple of minutes, and after that he left.
And how long after the rape did you call the police? About 5 minutes. What did you do on the night of the 12th of December?
On the 12th of December, I went to Rocco's at about 9 o'clock. I was supposed to meet some friends from college that evening.
And what were you doing at the bar? Excuse me.
We were just going to socialize for a while. I got there a little bit earlier than the rest of my friends, so I sat down at a table and had a drink.
Describe the knife that Mr. Stone used during the rape.
It had a black edge. It was about a black handle rather. It was about 3 or 4 inches long. It had serrated edges. It was pretty sharp.
Were you able to get a good look at the knife?
I got a pretty good look. I was able to look at it for several seconds at least when he came into my room.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach the opposing counsel and then the witness. Do you recognize this object?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
That looks like the knife that I saw in my assailant, in Mr. Stone.
How can you be sure that it looks like the knife?
Well, just like my description, it has the black handle, has the serrated edges. It's the same proper length, like I remember it, very sharp, looks like it, definitely.
Okay, Your Honor, I have no further questions for Ms. Miller.
Okay.
I'd like now to call Officer Pace. Did you search Marilyn Miller's apartment the day of the raid?
Yes, I did.
And when did you search the
It
apartment?
was about 1 in the afternoon.
Did you search the surrounding areas of the apartment?
Yes, I did.
And what did you find during your search?
I found a knife, had a black handle, it's 5 to 6 inches long, and serrated edges, looked very sharp. I found it outside the apartment in the...
Your Honor, I'd like to approach the opposing counsel and the witness.
Okay.
Can I ask, do you recognize this object?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
That looks like the knife I found outside the apartment on the day in December.
How do you know it looks like the knife?
It just has the same type of handle, black handle, about the proper length, has serrated edges, like the line.
There seems to be-
And also, when I found the knife, I inscribed my initials in it,
And what were your initials?
FP.
Do you see those initials on the knife?
And there they are, they're right there.
And do you see anything else on the knife?
That's right. And the date that I put on it.
Is this knife the same condition as it was when you found it on December 13th, 1995?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd like to take an opportunity to order the witness.
Go ahead.
Officer Pace, when you arrived at the scene of 801 Hill Street, you took Ms. Miller to the hospital,
Yes, I did.
and what time did you get back to the crime?
I think it was about 2:30.
So approximately 2 hours have transpired since the crime.
If I remember right, I think it was that's about right.
Where did you find the knife?
It was outside the apartment, in the snow. Just outside the door to the entrance to the apartment.
And the entrance leads to 2 separate apartments. Is that there's a upstairs apartment and a downstairs apartment?
Yes, that's right.
This knife did not have any recognizable fingerprints on it, did it?
No, it was hard to pick them up because it was a plastic can.
And you found this knife after Ms. Miller gave you a description?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to further question.
Any objection to the offer of Exhibit 1?
Yes, Your Honor, I would object on the ground of personal knowledge. Officer Pace found a knife somewhere near the crime scene, but there's no evidence that this was the actual knife you used.
Any response?
Being in conjunction with Ms. Miller's testimony that she saw the knife while defendant Stone raped her, in conjunction with the fact that the Officer Pace found the knife right outside the apartment, I think it's irrelevant to help show that that Ms. Miller was coerced and that she was actually forced into this act that she did not want to do.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Exhibit 1 will be admitted over objection.
I have nothing further for the witness.
What about publication to the jury? How would you do that, Joe?
Oh, how would I do that? Actually, after it's admitted. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Scavetta, and I represent the state of NIDA on behalf of Marilyn Miller. I'm here to show you that the defendant, Jim Stone, raped Marilyn Miller on December 13th, 1995. At the time of the rape, Mr. Stone was having trouble with the various relationships he was having with women. He was angry specifically at Marilyn Miller because she was put off by the dirty remarks he'd made at her the night before he raped her at a bar. He took this anger out on Marilyn Miller on the afternoon of December 13th, 1995. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to meet Marilyn Miller, the victim of this hideous crime. She's 21 years old. She's a music major here at NIDA University. She works part-time at the post office, and she currently lives here in NIDA City as well. Now let me describe the rape to you a little bit. While Marilyn Miller was napping around 12:30 in the afternoon of December 13th, Stone was breaking his way into the back door of her apartment. When Stone reached the bedroom door, Marilyn awoke, startled to find someone in her room. Although she struggled to get out of bed, Stone came across the room and threw himself on top of her, wielding a knife and trying to choke her. Repeatedly, Stone insisted that Marilyn cooperate with his commands so that he would not have to cut her or kill her. Stone rolled Marilyn over so that her face was in a pillow, and then Stone covered his face with a bandana his face had already been exposed, a face that Marilyn Miller had an ample opportunity to see. Stone then rolled Marilyn Miller back over. She's now on her back, and this time his pants were down. He made Marilyn look at his body, and she screamed. He slapped her and threatened her again, warning her that he would cut her if she did not cooperate. At this point, Stone pulled down her pants and raped her. When Stone finished, he laid on Marilyn for a few minutes and ran out of the apartment. In his haste, he dropped a small blue notebook next to Marilyn's bed, and he dropped the knife he used to threaten Marilyn. The knife was found just outside the same afternoon as the rape. Now, some people claim that they saw Stone at NIDA University around noon the day of the rape, but Marilyn only lives 3 miles from the campus of NIDA University, and the rape took place a half an hour after anyone else can identify Stone. In fact, only Marilyn will be able to place Stone's location from 12:30 to 12:45 on the afternoon of the rape. No one else will be able to tell you where Stone was during this 15-minute time period. Now, as I stated earlier, the rape was not the first time that Marilyn had seen Stone. On the night before the rape, Stone accosted Marilyn at a local bar in a restaurant called Rocco's. And this restaurant is located just a few blocks from Marilyn's apartment in NIDA City. While Marilyn waited for her friends to join her at the bar, Stone walked up to her and grabbed her hand. Pretending to read her palm, Stone suggested that she needed some levity. He then insisted that Marilyn buy him beer for him and his friends or that she leave the bar. At this point, Marilyn's friends entered the bar, so she was able to leave the table and join them. Even in this brief encounter at the bar, Marilyn was able to sense that Stone was full of hate. She was so intimidated by Stone's anger, she even warned her friends to stay away from him. This incident angered Stone and caused him to seek his revenge the next day when he raped her. But this is not the only reason why Stone's angry. The day before the rape, Stone was instructed by his mistress, Diana Samuels, to move his things out of her apartment. Diana broke off their affair on December 12th, and on December 13th was the day of the rape. Like Marilyn, Diana Samuels was also scared of Stone. Diana was afraid that the breakup would anger Stone and that she would not be able to predict how he might react. These events demonstrate that Stone was angry and hateful. This hate is what caused Diana and Marilyn to both fear Stone, and this hate and anger is what drove Stone to rape Marilyn Miller. Marilyn has been very courageous by coming forward to face the man who raped her and to make sure that he is put to justice. And this is why your role is so important. You need to ensure that Jim Stone will never rape again, and you can do this by finding him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in the rape of Marilyn Miller. Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Beer, you gave a statement on, you filed a report relating to the Anita liquor store investigation.
That's correct.
May I put to witness, Your Honor? I'm handing the witness a copy of the report that he filed with the state. Do you often make reports like this as part of the investigations that you do for the Anita Liquor Commission?
Routine basis.
And you made this statement on the 5th of June, 1995?
That looks to be right.
You wrote the report yourself, correct?
Yes, I did.
All the words that you put into the report were your own?
They were my own, yes.
You signed the report when you were done? You proofread through the report and made sure everything was accurate?
For the most part, yeah.
And you do that with every particular investigation that when you file a report?
Well, I try to. The Anita Vice Squad is very busy, and I don't have time to go over every single word, every single comma that I write, but I try to make sure they're accurate.
But when you filed it, you believed everything in there to be true?
Yeah, there was nothing that was not true in that report.
You recall, well, let me bring up some of the specifics of the report. You have the report in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Can you see the statement that you made that says, while Watkins is in the store, can see him and Jones for approximately mid-chest up?
Yeah, I see that.
And then today, you said that you could see them from the waist up.
Well, mid-chest, waist, it was, he had a trench coat on. I was maybe a little...
But you understand that the word chest and the word waist are not the same word?
Of course I understand that.
Okay, good. Today, you also made a statement about money, correct?
About money?
Yes. Can you find the word money anywhere in your statement from the report that you filed on the 6th?
I don't see the word money in the report.
Neither did I.
Objection, basis,
Argumentative?
or sustained. Anything further with respect to that? Sustained. Jury is admonished not to disregard counsel's last statement.
Sorry, Your Honor. Do you recall in your previous, you had a statement in front of you, correct?
Yes.
In that statement, you mentioned that Watkins was stumbling and staggering outside of the store.
Yeah, that's right. He was stumbling all over the place.
But the statement specifically says outside the store.
Well, that's what led to the investigation. That's why we looked at this man. This man was stumbling and couldn't walk. So that's what led me and my partner to watch him while he was in the store and watch him stumbling throughout the store.
Right, but you never actually, in your report, say that he stumbled in the store. Correct?
That looks to be the case.
That's what you see when you see the report, that you don't mention that?
Right.
Right. But today you actually said that he stumbled inside the store.
Right.
So what you said today is not what you said in the report about the stumbling and staggering?
Well, there's nothing in the report that's not true. I did leave out the fact that he was stumbling in the store. Like I said, I'm very busy, and that was a late night, and I omitted it from my report.
Do you often omit things from reports when you file them?
Occasionally.
I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Ms. Enriquez just asked you about the report you filed in relation to the liquor store.
Yes.
Now, in the report, while you were testifying today, you talked about what you had seen inside the liquor store.
Yes, I did.
And could you describe what you saw inside the liquor store?
Well, sure. I saw Mr. Watkins walk in the liquor store after he attempted to straighten himself up, walk in the store, walk around, kind of stumbled back to the cheap wine section.
I want to raise an object basis. Tentative, asked and answered. How do you respond to that? As to the last question.
I'm just trying to put together what Ms. Enriquez asked him about in relation to the report with what he said today on the stand.
Overruled.
Okay. Can you describe how you go about writing the reports?
Well, it kind of depends on what shift I'm on, but what I like to do is at the end of the evening, during an investigation such as the Anita Cut Rate Liquor Store, we take handwritten notes about what we see, and then after we make an arrest and issue a citation to a liquor store like that, what I did was went home and looked at my handwritten notes, compiled a little more detailed handwritten report, which was turned into word processing, and they typed it up, and I looked it over and signed it.
How many of those reports do you make in one day, would you say?
Usually at least 5 or 6, sometimes 15 or 20.
Do you remember how many you made on the night of the 5th of June, 1995?
11.
Now, can you explain to us why the discrepancies that were raised by Ms. Enriquez were made from the report versus the statement on the stand today?
Yeah, I can. I think the defense attorney asked me why I said chest up, and then today I said waist up. Well, Watkins was stumbling around so much that it was, I mean, it's hard to define what exactly I could see. Sometimes I could see his waist, and then he kind of slouched over, and I can only see his, chest up, from chest up, kind of slouched and leaned on the counter.
The other discrepancy dealt with money. Can you explain that discrepancy as well?
Well, it was a late night. I think it was a Monday night, and we had a busy evening. I think people were getting ready for the big Monday night football game in town. I went home and was tired, and I had a couple beers while I was making the report, and I just, I forgot to put it in the report.
I have nothing further.
Go ahead.
You stated that about 90% of your practice receives referrals.
Yes,
So when you see these clients, they've already been interviewed by another attorney
that's right.
over the past 5 years?
Yes.
You stated earlier that in order for the defendant to have conducted legal malpractice, he needs to fall below the standard of care.
That's right.
Is there anything else that he needs
To be negligent, he not only needs to have a duty to the plaintiff in this case, to be shown to have breached that duty. The plaintiff also needs to show that his breach was the cause of the plaintiff's injuries.
So if there were no injury, then there would be no malpractice.
That's right.
It is the law, Anita, that if Mr. Jenkins had been operating the press negligently, then contributory negligence would bar his action.
It would bar an action in negligence. Yes.
It is also the law, Anita, that if he misused the product, that he would not be able to sue. Oh, it wasn't very long. Please introduce yourself to the court.
My name is Alexander Christensen.
Have you come here today to give your expert opinion as to whether Mr. Jenkins suffered any damage from the information he received from Mr. Benson?
That's part of my opinion, yes.
And also, have you come here today to give an opinion as to whether Mr. Benson fell below the standard of care a client should expect from a lawyer here in Nita City?
Yes, that'd be the other part.
Now, but before I ask you about your opinions, I want to talk to you a little bit about your qualification. And could you explain your professional background for the jury as well?
I don't know if he could or not.
Please
We should have
explain
a
your
board here on
professional
that.
background to the jury.
After I graduated from Harvard Law School, I went to work with Nita Bell Telephone Company as a staff attorney. I worked there for 5 years, give or take a couple months. And then a friend of mine from Nita Bell Telephone, Mr. Bernard, and I decided that we were going to form our own practice, and we opened up our own private practice 15 years ago.
Does all of your current work involve cases here in?
Yes, it does.
Do you handle off-the-street clients? And when I use the term off-the-street clients, I mean clients like Mr. Jenkins who just come in to an attorney without being referred. Do you handle those types of clients?
On a daily basis.
And are you familiar with NEDA case law relating to negligence and products liability?
I believe so.
Tender Mr. Christensen as an expert witness, Your Honor.
See, some judges do that. They won't make a ruling or anything. They'll just say, proceed.
Now, you're about to give an opinion to the jury. How did you arrive at this opinion?
What was that question?
Excuse me?
You've just given an opinion?
I
How
said
did-
you were about to give it your opinion. How did you arrive at that opinion?
How can you testify how he arrived at it unless we know what it is? Are you asking him what he did in this case? Oh, sorry.
Could you repeat the question, please?
I'm not sure if I want to. I said you're about to give your opinion to the jury, but before you do that, could you please tell me the different things you examined or to arrive at this opinion?
Well, in coming to my conclusion in this case, I looked at the depositions taken of Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Benson. I looked at the Products Liability Act in the state of NEDA. And basically, I thought back on my own experience and the way I practice law, all those things together.
Now, based on your qualifications and your 15 years of practice here in Nita City and your various examinations of documents, have you reached an opinion involving Mr. Benson's standard of care?
Yes, I have.
And why is that?
Well, for several reasons. One reason is that there was nothing deficient in what Mr. Benson told or didn't tell Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Benson was under no duty to inform Mr. Benson was under no duty to inform Jenkins of any statute of limitations because there was no merit to Jenkins' case. And again, for the same reason, he had no duty to refer Jenkins to anyone else who may do more products liability work than Benson does.
And also, based on your qualifications and your years of practice here in Nita, have you reached an opinion as to whether or not Mr. Jenkins suffered any damages as a result of Mr. Benson's standard of care?
Well, to suffer damages, you're asking me to assume that there was a breach of the standard of care. I don't believe there was, but if there was a breach of the standard of care, then Mr. Jenkins sustained no damages whatsoever because even if the lawsuit had been filed by someone or if Jenkins had been informed of a statute of limitations, he could not have won his case anyway and probably wouldn't have settled the case for any significant value. Therefore, he wasn't damaged by anything Benson did or did not do.
In order for a client to be successful in a practice suit here in Nita, there needs to be both a breach of the standard of care and damages.
Among other things, yes.
If there has been no damages and no breach of standard of care, how can a client hold his lawyer responsible responsible for malpractice.
Well, if there's neither a breach of standard of care and damages, there can be no malpractice.
Thank you.
Cross-examination.
The defense wants you to think that because Marilyn Miller did not instantaneously identify Mr. Stone as her rapist, that her testimony is not believable. The defense's conclusion, however, does not account for a lot of the evidence that you've heard here today presented during the trial. First, I want to call your attention to Miss Miller's ability to see her rapist during the rape. Miss Miller had at least 15 seconds to look at Mr. Stone's face. Miss Miller's observations of Mr. Stone is supported by the fact that she was able to describe Mr. Stone's appearance to the police on the day of the rape, remembering his coat, his sweater, his mustache, his build. These are not things that Mr. Stone wore the night before at Rocco's. These are the things he wore when he raped Miss Miller. It would have been much more difficult for Mrs. Miller to know the color of Mr. Stone's clothing in a dark bar at night than it would be in her well-lit room during the day. Mr. Stone also wants you to believe that Miss Miller's supposed lack of credibility accounts for the fact that he dropped his checkbook in her room on the day of the rape. A key element in Mr. Stone's defense centers on the unlikely scenario that Miss Miller needed to have taken his checkbook from Rocco's the night before. Miss Miller, however, never saw this checkbook at the bar, nor did Mr. Stone even have an occasion to take the checkbook out in front of Miss Miller. In fact, according to Miss Miller, he demanded that she buy him beer before she leave the bar or get out. Miss Miller does not deny that Mr. Stone lost his checkbook at the bar, nor does she deny that the wait staff at Rocco's helped him look for it. What is likely to have happened is that Mr. Stone merely found his checkbook after looking for it at Rocco's or after leaving Rocco's, whether it be in his coat pocket, in his car, or at his home. This happens to people all the time. To say that Miss Miller lacks credibility because she didn't instantaneously recognize Mr. Stone as the man from Rocco's while being raped does not explain how Mr. Stone's checkbook got into Miss Miller's apartment. It is unlikely that Miss Miller could have performed this instantaneous recognition the defense would like you to believe must have happened in order for Miss Miller to be a credible witness. Miss Miller had just been raped and was at least not thinking as clearly as she might have been. In addition, the events of the night before were probably a distant memory compared to the image of her rapist, Mr. Stone. It was only after Miss Miller had gotten time to gather her thoughts was she able to connect Mr. Stone to both the rape and the incident at Rocco's. She knows that it would be better for her to wait and be certain than to falsely accuse someone other than Mr. Stone of her rape. According to the law in NIDA, you, the jury, are the sole judges of the credibility of Miss Miller. You decide the weight to be given to her testimony. You can take into account her ability and opportunity to observe, her manner and appearance while testifying, any interest, bias, or prejudice she may have, the reasonableness of her testimony considered in light of all the evidence, and anything else that you feel would bear on her believability. In a nutshell, the law lets the jury to be the ultimate deciders of who and what to believe. Miss Miller has given you a very plausible explanation based on identification of Mr. Stone and based on Mr. Stone's checkbook in her room after the rape. This explanation leads to the rational conclusion that Mr. Stone raped Miss Miller. If you agree beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must go back to the jury room and decide to convict Mr. Stone of the rape of Miss Miller. Thank you.